You're watching ATN, the Abington Township News Network, with studios located in downtown Abington. ATN is a government access channel offering simultaneous broadcast on Comcast Cable Channel 43 and Verizon Fios Channel 24.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this very special Briar Bush event that we have tonight. My name is Katie Fisk. I'm an educator at Briar Bush Nature Center. And we have a very special presentation by Franklin Clark from the Carbon County Environmental Education Center up in Jim Thorpe. And he's going to be giving us a very special presentation on, well, I'll let him talk about what he's going to talk about, but he brought some other guests with him tonight that are not human. And I do want to thank, this presentation would not be possible tonight if it weren't for the funding of the Jenkins Lyceum. So they provided the funding to bring Franklin down here all the way up from in the Poconos. So we send a big thank you to them for everything tonight. And so, yes. Look at some birds, so let's get to it. Well done, thanks.
Well, as Katie said, I am an educator at Carbon County Environmental Education Center. Our center is very similar to Briar Bush. We do a lot of the same programs. We do a lot of different programs too. Our center has a lot to do with a lot of dead stuff too. That's why Katie kind of comes up and does a lot of things there with us too. We do a lot of skull cleaning programs and things like that. But that's neither here nor there. That sounds like a Halloween program coming up. But we are first and foremost an education place. We are a school. We talk about the environment. It's in our name, Carbon County Environmental Education Center. Well, when we think about the environment, when we talk about the environment, I always start my morning classes when we have school students at our center, and we do see between 10 and 15,000 school children a year at our center. I ask what the environment is, because I like to get a feel for my audience. Now, this is going to be maybe a little different audience, because we're kind of Katie's people, and I understand that. But I always ask the question. What's in the environment? And I get answers like trees and rocks and fish and birds and grass and the air and sunshine. And every one of those answers is correct. But I almost never get the answer, us, people. And that's a big problem. There's a disconnect between people and the environment. They think, here's us over here, and out there, out the window out there, well, that's the environment. And I don't have to worry about that ever. But the truth of the matter is, folks, we are part of the environment every bit as much as any of the animals that are out there. With one big difference. We're the only animal on the planet that can help the planet. We're also the only animal on the planet that hurts the planet. So I challenge those students. Which animal do you want to be? You need to think about where you live, because the things that you do to our planet, you're doing to your home. And that's my speech for that. So that's how we start our day. And then we go into the various other things. The second part of my job as an educator at the Environmental Center is to assist in wildlife rehabilitation. We are also a licensed Pennsylvania Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. What that is, big long title, it enables us to take in sick and injured and orphaned wildlife and do what needs to be done to get those animals back out into the wild. We get, gosh, we probably counted close to 700 animals last year that came through our front door. Everything, literally, from bald eagles to baby bunnies and baby squirrels and hummingbirds that thought they were borrowing darts and stuck in someone's window screen and all the little things like that. So we do our best to put those animals back out there. Some of the animals don't really do so well, and they can't go back out, so we use those animals for education. All the animals that you meet here tonight are animals that came in injured in some way or another and cannot be released into the wild. Folks, 95 or better % of the animals that come through our front door at the hands of human beings. Hit by a car, electrocuted, shot, habitat destruction, human interference, imprinting. It's so rare to see an animal that comes in through the front door that just got hurt, got attacked by another animal. It's really rare. So think about that too. I mean, that's the other lesson there, because everybody wants to know, well, what happened to it? They open up the magic box, and I'll tell you about that in a second. They open up the magic box, and we take it out and we examine it in front of them first, and they say, well, what do you think happened? And we can pretty much tell. It got hit by a car, it got attacked by a cat, and then they go, and I said, your cat? Yeah. See, cats are not a natural part of our environment, folks, no matter how much you think about it. They are, in my opinion, 1,000 years from domestication. They're still wild animals that are not a natural part. So we probably, of the 95% of the animals that come in, probably half of them are songbirds and rabbits, and probably half of them are cat-caught. So that's just that lesson too. The magic box is an interesting thing. And I'm going to tell this real quick because I love this story. I didn't invent this story. I didn't come up with this story. My boss, Sue Gallagher, our chief naturalist, came up with it. The magic box is a phenomenon. It's just something that happens. People call us and they tell us they found an animal. I found a baby vulture. Bring it to us. Put it in a box. Keep it comfortable. Keep it quiet. Bring it to us and we'll take care of it. And they do. They capture that baby vulture, they put it in the box, they put birdseed and milk in there for vultures. But anyway, that's neither here nor there too. And that might have something to do with it. But they bring it to us, they open up our front door, and they bring it in, and we open the magic box. And it has magically transformed into a pigeon. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And that's okay, because it's still an animal that needs our care. You know, and they bring us these things. And it's great to see the looks on their faces. Sometimes we tell them, and sometimes we don't. Oh, that's good job. Whiskey. So that's it. But so that's our story about who I am and why I'm here. We're here to talk about raptors today, and obviously I need something to show you, and I'll get to that in just a second. So raptors, of course, are birds of prey. They're animals that hunt. Some people love them, some people hate them. Hunters, there are still old school hunters that think the best raptor is a dead raptor because they're killing all the rabbits and the squirrels and there's nothing left for us. Well, that's because there's more of us now, and we're killing all the rabbits and the squirrels, and we're hitting them with cars, and we're electrocuting them, and we're killing them with poisons in their yards and things like that. But anyway, these guys are built from head to toe to hunt, to kill. So I need to remind you that these are live animals. They are not tame pets that I have, and I haven't trained them to do tricks here, so they are wild animals. So especially those of you guys in the front couple rows, especially you, I need you to sit still for me. Don't wave hands. If you do want to ask questions, I'll be happy to answer questions. Photographs are absolutely allowed. Flash photography is absolutely allowed, as long as we're not strobalizing these things to death. But we'll get them out. So I want to start off with an animal that I'm pretty proud to work with. This animal, literally from head to toe, is built to hunt and kill. And it looks like a small box, but the attitude of the animal that's in this box far outshines its size. So let's see. Now you think about this guy. Think about what we're going to see here. Who's curious? Everybody's curious. Ah, good morning. All right. Now I know Briar has one of these, but I want to be one. And that's okay. We try to go small, medium, large with our birds for our programs. And unfortunately, this is the only really small bird that we've got. We used to have American kestrels, but we no longer do. This, of course, is a red-faced eastern screech owl. So here he is. His name is Butler, and he's been with us for quite a while. He's a good bird for programs because he's got all his parts. Many of our birds don't, and that's just kind of the way rehab birds do. They're either missing an eye, or they're missing a wing, or they've got a bum foot, or something like that. But Butler came to us because we're pretty sure he was hit by a car. He was found along the side of the road, and just kind of flopping around. And someone stopped and picked him up. Good for them. Put him in a magic box and brought him to us, but they knew what he was. And but we get mistakes too, because everybody thinks they're baby great horned owls too, because they look so much like their bigger cousins. But after a little bit of rehab, we put Butler out in the flight pen, and he did fly around, and he has some flight, but he kind of gets a little bit of a sore shoulder. We think he may have a rotator cuff injury, something that gets more aggravated when he flies, when he's back and forth. The more he uses it, the more ouchy that gets, the more achy that gets. So Butler lives with us, and he takes care of us, and we take care of him. Now, let's take a look at this guy. Let's just examine this guy in a scientific kind of way. So, if you're a hunter, you need to do some things and you need to be some things in order to be a good hunter, whether you're a wild animal or whether you're a person. First of all, you need to be patient. And owls are very, very patient. They just sit. They don't do a whole lot of flying around. When you're sitting in the woods in the daytime, you don't see these guys because, first of all, they're nocturnal. That means they're nighttime hunters, okay? I see some people who look like they may be nocturnal here tonight. I see some pajamas around. I like that. I saw those pajamas coming in, and I thought, boy, that's a really good idea, because I guess they're leaving and going to Walmart when they leave. See, it's not just a Coleridgean thing. Okay, all right. Sorry. But this guy is nocturnal, so he's built to be out at night. That's going to help him, because he doesn't do a whole lot of daytime moving around, so he's going to be even harder to find. Their nesting areas are thick woods, mixed woods, but they're also cavity nesting birds. That means they nest in a hole in a tree. So you're not going to look up in a tree in the fall when all the leaves come off and go, ooh, there's a screech owl nest. There's no such thing. They live in a hole. And the only thing you might even see is their little face sticking out of the middle of that hole looking for animals. Okay? So nighttime falls, and this guy thinks he's going to get out there and he's going to look around and he's going to find some animals. Well, if you just look at his coloration, he's so perfectly camouflaged. He looks like tree bark. If he sat in a branch of a tree, and actually they don't even sit on the end of a branch of a tree like where my thumb is, he would sit kind of in here by the trunk, and he would lean in so that his body blends in with the trunk of the tree, not even out here on the outside. That's going to help him. So that camouflage helps him a great deal. These little ear tufts, now don't get me wrong, I like my biologist friends. I have a lot of friends that are biologists. Biologists gave these things the name ear tufts. Well, guys, they're not his ears. They're not his ears at all. His ears are on the side of his head where ours are down here. But these ear tufts, so to speak, are they're just kind of feather tufts that are attached to his eyebrows. Some owls can move them up and down. They can raise them when they're curious. They can lower them down when they're angry or when they're concerned. And that's kind of to help him camouflage himself, too, because it breaks up his silhouette. He doesn't look like a bird. He looks like a branch or two feathers or two leaves sticking up there, too. But he'll just sit there nice and quietly in that coloration, nice, and just kind of wait. His eyes are very, very large for the size of the bird. Now, you may have seen great horned owls. I don't know if you know how big a great horned owl is. This guy stands about 4 inches tall. Great horned owls at the most stand about 11 inches tall, right? Well, their eyes are as big as ours. Now, think about that. I'm 5'9". There are other people out there that are much taller than me, but our eyes are about the same size. That little great horned owl that's this big has an eyeball about the same size as mine. Think about the ratio. If yours were that large, your eyeball would be the size of a Major League Baseball, or an orange, so to speak. Think about putting 2 oranges in your head. Well, they wouldn't fit. You'd need to move some things around and maybe even remove some things. Well, some of the things that got removed from this guy in his many, many 100,000 or millions of years history is the muscles and tendons that move our eyes left and right and up and down. Owls can't move their eyes. They're stationary. I have a quick joke about that too. We do a lot of programs at Grange halls and things like that where there's a lot of old farmers and things, and it's kind of Dutch country where we are. So the way we explain this is that their eyes are fixed in one position. So I did my program, and this old farmer came up and he was staring in the cage, and I said, "Can I help you?" He said, "Yeah. You said that owl's eyes was fixed. I said, that's right. He said, well, you did a good job, because I couldn't even tell they was broke. True story, you can't make this stuff up. But his eyes are stationary, they look straight ahead at all times. Now, to compensate for that, we all know, and sometimes incorrectly, that owls can turn their head all the way around. They can't really turn their head all the way around. They can turn their head about 270 degrees. So 270 degrees is 3/4 of a pizza, okay? For those of you that are doing plane geometry and things like that. Here's the magic in it. There's no magic. As mammals, we have 7 cervical vertebrae in our neck. 7 bones hold our head to our neck. It doesn't matter what you are. If you're a mouse, or a dog, or a cat, or a human, or a giraffe, you have 7 bones in your neck. That's it. But this owl, who looks like he has absolutely no neck at all in there, has 15 bones in his neck. When you have more bones, you have more hinges. And when you have more hinges, you can turn your head farther around. It's that simple. It's not magic. It's just the way he's put together. The cool thing is he can turn that head almost all the way around, no matter what he's doing. If he's sitting still, if he's flying, if he's moving around, he can kind of look down and up and turn and sideways. And that helps him sit still, because all he has to do is stand where he is. He doesn't have to get up and move, because when you get up and move, you show yourself off, and the animals run away. That's all there is to it. Okay? He's got all kinds of things. I mean, I could do an hour on owls, so I'm going to skip over some of the minor parts and get to the major parts. He does have a sharp beak, and he can bite with it, but it's not super, super strong. It's not like a parrot. He's not going to take a finger off, but it's sharp. That's the key there. And all the muscles in their neck, that's how they do their biting and tearing. They don't have teeth. They can't chew their food, so they have to rip and tear. And he does a lot of swallowing whole. This guy could swallow a mouse on the ground whole easily. When they fly, they don't make any noise. And there's a reason for that, too. Now, let's see if we can... Just knew it was going to happen. Okay. Murphy's Law. We're going to change his name to Murphy. All right. So, guys, if I can just have you be quiet just for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take my magic feather and I'm going to magically turn you all into some little furry woodland creature. Now, you resist, but in your brain you just thought of something. You know you did, so the magic feather works. Okay, so there you are. You're out there. You're doing your little fuzzy woodland creature thing. You're looking for food, and you hear this sound. What do? What would you... Run! You would run! You would get out of there, because something's going to eat you. Well, okay. New scenario. All you little fuzzy furry woodland creatures, you're out there looking for food, you're scavenging, you're scouring, you're looking for food, you hear this sound.
Oh.
Now what do? You don't do anything. You become lunch for this sound. The truth of the matter is, the only reason you would have to run from this sound is if you were dead. Because this guy eats dead stuff. This is a vulture feather. And vultures don't eat live animals. They eat dead stuff. And they make a whole bunch of noise. But owls, when they flap their wings, don't make any noise at all. And there's a reason for that. 2 reasons for that. 1, so their food doesn't hear them coming. 2, it's because owls' hearing is fabulous. It's amazing. If it was absolutely quiet in here and nobody made a noise, this owl could hear some of your hearts beating in your chest from this distance. From 50 or 60 feet in the air, this owl can hear a mouse's footsteps. Great horned owls have been videoed plummeting out of trees and punching down through a foot of snow and pulling metal balls out because they know they're there by sound. About half of what they eat is caught by sound and not by sight. And their sight is amazing too. They can see a mouse at 100 yards in almost total darkness. But they can hear. That's the important thing. So if they're flapping to go hunting and they make this sound, well, they're not going to be able to hear their food. They need to be quiet. It's like you ever try to talk to somebody in a rainstorm with the hood up? Yeah. You know how it's loud and you're like, what? That's kind of what it's like. So guys, that's what this guy is all about. Yes, and he's just so quiet. Really. And did you see how big he opened his mouth? Yeah. He's got literally a big mouth. I mean, he doesn't make a whole lot of noise, but he makes some noise. But they can do a lot of swallowing, And by the way, speaking of his big mouth, I'll let you hear what he sounds like. You may actually have these, no matter where you live, even if it's in an urban area, there's a good chance you've got these guys. So now listen carefully. It's not super loud, but just take a listen. Have you heard that around your house? That second part, maybe? Okay, that's an eastern screech owl. That's the call. Some people think it's a big bug. That second part sounds like an insect. So that's our eastern screech owl. Now, I'm going to put him back. Thanks for that, by the way. I'll clean that up probably. Now, at the beginning I said we don't train our birds. They're not taught to do tricks. If you've been to Disney, no. Little now there's a reason for that too. I mean, everything's a teaching moment. You've got a great book. There's a book called Everybody Poops. Have you ever read that? Well, there's a reason for that. These guys, of course, they need to go to the bathroom because everybody needs to go to the bathroom. But another reason birds do it is to make themselves lighter. He's thinking already about, I'm getting out of here. And the more I eliminate, the lighter I'm going to be and the faster I'm going to be. So anyway, long story short, we go to these programs and sometimes I'm early. Today I was early. And sometimes I just get a little complacent and I think, oh boy, I better hurry up. So I go to get these birds and sometimes they're flighted. So I go in and I go to catch it, it flies over here. And I go over here to get it, it flies over here. One day I was running really, really late and I just had the presence of mind to grab the carrier and I took it into the cage with me. And as I missed the bird, he flew into the box on his own. I didn't teach him how to do it. He taught me how to do that. He's a cavity nester. This is where he feels safe. So now, when I go in, I put the box on the shelf, and I go to get him, because I know I'm not going to catch him, and he flies into this one, and I'm like, you think you're so smart, but you're not. But that's just the story there. So not something I taught him how to do. He taught me how to do that. So he's happy in there. He likes being in there. He's all the way in the back. All locked in there. Okay? Unbelievable. Oh.
Parents with your kids in the back, if you want to bring them here, we want the parents with you. If you want to sit up front so you can see a little better. So if you guys want to sit up here.
You have to sit quiet though, guys, okay?
Be quiet. That's the deal. Otherwise. So just
and the birds get bigger, so you'll be able to
just come, you can sit right in front of this thing right here. Just, yeah. She's got her eagle. But if you guys want to come up too. So that'll be nice. And when the bird poops, just,
Everybody's moved?
Is everybody good? Everybody's settled?
All right. No. Who said it? Nice. You get 5 points. And those 5 points and 85 cents will get you candy bar at the corner store. All right. Guys, this is Lazarus. And Lazarus is probably our most famous bird. This bird has literally been seen by hundreds of thousands of people. He's about, Lazarus has to be about 11 or 12 years old at this point. And he came to us much the same way a lot of the other birds come. He came to us in a cardboard box. In a UPS truck, as a matter of fact. Now, when a UPS man comes, everybody's happy and excited. They think, oh, somebody ordered something, we're getting something. Well, it turns out that this red-tailed hawk, he's molting, so he's got these feathers sticking out all over the place. Turns out that this young red-tailed hawk was sitting on the side of the road and he was hunting. Well, maybe he saw something that he wanted to eat, and his little bird brain said, there's something to eat, go get it, and he took off. Well, mom hawks don't teach their babies to look both ways before they cross the street. And he flew right out in front of a UPS truck. Now, here's a phenomenon I want you to think about. Those of you that drive, you'll get this. When I learned to drive, my father taught me to look left and look right and look left again. And when I asked him, he said, because cars coming from your left are a lane closer to you than cars coming from your right. When you pull out into an intersection, those cars coming from your left are this much closer to you. Birds, it happens the same way too. If a bird shoots out from the right side of the road, they get struck on the left side of their body. And we see far, far more birds injured on the left side than we do than injured on the right side. And it's because they don't have that extra 18 feet to go, whoa, there's a car coming, and they can kind of get out of the way. And they get popped quite often. Interestingly enough, through the wonders of the internet, we've been communicating with some of our associates in Great Britain. Well, guess what? Their birds get hit on the right side because they drive on the other side of the road. So there you go. It's an unscientific theory, but I'd say a vast majority of the birds that come into us get hit on the left side because they shoot out of the right side of the road. Well, Lazarus' story in a nutshell is he was in pretty bad shape. I mean, he was a bloody mess, and his wing was all twisted, and his eye was bleeding. We took him to the vet. Everything bad, everything big always happens on a Friday and late when we want to go home. And the veterinarian wants to go home. So we took him to the vet, and the vet said, I don't know if there's anything I can do for that bird. My suggestion is that we put him down. And we were just heartbroken. He was a very young red-tailed hawk, and we know that because his tail looked like this. Now, a lot of people see the different birds out there, and they think, well, this must be a male, because obviously the males of all species are more attractive than the females. Nobody caught that? Either that or the men were just going, yeah, but don't say it. So what this really is, guys, is this is a young red-tailed hawktail, and this is an older red-tailed hawktail. They don't get these bright red tail feathers in for at least their first year. So we know that this was a first-year bird, and at the time that he was hit, he may have only been away from the nest for a matter of weeks or even a matter of days. So we wanted to give him a chance. The vet said, take care of him, leave him at your center, bring him back on Monday. If he's still alive, I'll take a second look. Well, the second look resulted in an amputation of the left wing, and he's blind in his left eye. So we had to make that decision. Are we going to keep this bird for the rest of his life, which may be 20 years? And, well, obviously it's coming up on it. But he's been a great representative for our center. We've seen his picture on the internet, on sites that we're not even associated with. He's on banners for the Lehigh Navigation Trail. People just take his picture, and that's great. We love it. But literally hundreds of thousands of people, because this is an opportunity for you to get to see one of these majestic birds up close and personal. And that's why he's so very, very important. He's a place of honor at our center. He sits on a perch outside. You've been there? Yeah. Right next to our soda machine, which is frequented a lot. He's like our little breeder. We haven't yet been able to find a little blue vest to fit him. But he sits there, and I got so tired of telling his story that I put it on a plaque out front. And it explains what's going on with him. And he does have a successor when and if he goes away. We have another bird that was in the almost exact same situation, except it wasn't a UPS truck. And her name is Katie. And Katie, we bring Katie out sometimes too, but Lazarus is our go-to. He's just, I know exactly what he's going to do, and he knows what I'm going to do. He's just really, really cool. So guys, that's our red-tailed hawk right there. Yes, sir? I can do that for you. Now, I make horrible bird calls. So that's why I have these. And this is a great little device. Now, hopefully it works. There's no juggling here. You ready? Listen. You've heard that, right? Yeah? You can hear me? Everybody got to hear it? You all right? Okay. All right. Guys, any questions? I'm gonna try to speed things along a little bit. Yes, sir.
Are the males and females colored different, or are they the same?
Good question. The males and the females look exactly alike. But the females of most bird of prey species are larger and stronger than the males. What do you think of that, ladies? But now, in fairness to the gentlemen, that means the men, or the boys, are a little bit faster and a little more maneuverable. There's a reason for that, too. As a big female, when the females are hunting, they're able to get out there and get some bigger prey and bring it back for the young. They can get larger animals and maybe a little bit slower, but a little bit bigger and meatier prey. The males are out there getting quicker, faster prey, maybe different species that they can bring back, so that the kids get a difference in diet. Now, it transfers into the human species too, because kids, you know, when Dad cooks, you eat differently. It's true. It's a true story. Okay? So thanks for reminding me of that. So guys, I'm gonna put him back.
Yeah, right.
Long way over.
Gotta go now.
Sure you don't want to go before we leave? Usually pretty good. We'll see. Hold that tail down. Don't laugh, it works. All right. There you go. That's last. All right. Now, just like all good entertaining programs. Yes, sir, you have a question?
Yeah, from the hawk and the owl, when they shriek like that, is that for other hawks and owls? What's the purpose of hummingbirds?
I mean, we can only guess. We can only speculate on what it is. Some of it's a mating call. Some of it's a territory thing. Some of it's, Mom, I'm hungry. Where are you? I'm waiting. You know, kind of thing. But for the most part, it's a communication of some sort. Now we know, coming up real soon, as it starts to get colder, you're going to start to hear great horned owls move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's definitely a mating thing and a territory thing. This is where I am, and I'm calling all females, and if the male can hear me, just keep your distance, and that's how you go. And they kind of spread out. They don't really get into physical confrontations. It's basically just blowing up and saying, this is my territory, and I want you to stay up. Right? So I was just going to say, like all good entertaining programs, there always has to be a commercial break. So at this point, I'd like to invite Katie Fisk back up to give you guys a little commercial while I go get another bird. Who's too big to fit this room?
Watch out for the spray zone over here. All right, so you guys enjoying the presentation so far? Wonderful. So Franklin and his birds both do a great job. And we've been talking a little bit about what the birds eat tonight. They don't eat hamburgers, they don't eat cheeseburgers, they don't eat macaroni and cheese. We may think that it's weird that they eat mice and that they eat cockroaches and stuff like that, but they probably think it's really weird that we eat macaroni and cheese. So, coming up on October 20th, which is just in a few weeks, from 1 to 4 p.m. at Briar Nature Center, just up the hill, we have our Autumn Fest coming up. That is our annual event. It's free and open to the public. And our theme this year is about food. It's what the animals eat at Briar Nature Center, both our wild animals and our captive animal collection, which includes our screech owl, Scarlet. It also includes what the wild animals eat out on the trails, the different plants and the different food chains that go on there. So we're going to have all sorts of different things going on. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Like I said, it's from 1 to 4 p.m. We always have animal shows. We'll have some animal encounters, including with our own screech owl, Scarlet. And we're going to have some guided hikes. We're going to have the opportunity for the kids. You guys can help make the diets for our captive animal collection that day. You guys will become our chefs. We're going to have the microscopes out and look at very, very small things that live in our compost pile that help get rid of our garbage. We're going to have all sorts of stuff going on. So I encourage you guys to come out and check that out. Now, speaking of Scarlet, let's see how many people tonight noticed something different about the screech owl that Franklin brought out versus Scarlet. Did you notice something different about her? I know Harrison noticed. Harrison, what did you notice? Okay, the eye, yeah. Scarlet, our screech owl, is blind in her right eye, and so her pupil is fully dilated. This one, the eyes were the same. All right, well, it's hard. The quickest. Okay.
Sorry about that.
The answer is the coloring. Our screech owl is what's called a gray face, and this is a red face. I'm going to stop talking because I can't. No good unless the red face.
You can. All right, guys. So this, of course, is an American bald eagle. How many of you have ever seen one in the wild? That's going to change because the numbers of bald eagles are increasing here in Pennsylvania. That's a good thing. I want to give you a little bit of history. As I said, we are an education place, so kids, it's history class time, okay? Stretch your mouth. Go ahead, stretch your mouth. You want to step up? You want to put your standing on that. All right. How about we let her step up? There. Look at her showing off. She does impressions. For the kids, that's the U.S. Postal Service. If you're over 21, it's Anheuser-Busch. All right, settle down. Okay. So guys, the American bald eagle, okay, truly is an American bird, a North American bird. There are eagles on every continent of the United States, of the world, golden eagles. But bald eagles only exist in North America. They're only here in North America. So truly a North American bird. They've been the symbol of our country, of the United States of America, since 1782, the Second Continental Congress. The Second Continental Congress selected the bald eagle as our symbol. After the election of the bird, Ben Franklin wrote a letter to his daughter in France and was very upset. He said he opposed the selection of the bald eagle. He thinks the turkey would be a much more noble bird because the eagle is a bird of poor moral character. It steals from other birds, and they do. They will sit and wait for an osprey to catch fish, and osprey are just amazing at catching fish. I see you have a bald eagle right there. And they will wait for them to swoop down, and then they'll swoop down and take that fish away from the osprey. Take it back to their nest and say, look what I brought you, and I did this. And I think it's, wow, you are cranky today. Yes, it was a long ride in the car. Right? All right. You can just kind of stretch them out like that, too. So now I want you to think about this, though. Maybe he knew a little bit more, or was kind of a forward thinker. And Ben always was, because think about the United States. I just want you to think about this, and this is my only political stand. A bird that steals from other birds and calls those things their own. Let's just think about the Europeans and the Native Americans for a moment, shall we? And that's all I'm going to say about that. So guys, Rennie's story, and her name is Rennie, R-E-N-N-I-E, and she had some confusion in her name. Some of you know the story, and I'll explain the rest of it. Because of her size, we were pretty sure that this was a male. Males, again, are smaller than females. This is a small bald eagle at about 10.5 pounds. This is a small bald eagle. Some of the larger ones here in the United States have been upwards of 16, some almost 18 pounds. So that's nearly twice her size. Let's let her rest. Let's just let her kind of chill out. All right? Yeah, I know, I see you. All right. So, we had her for quite some time. She was an immature bird. She wasn't colored all pretty like this. She had a brown head and a brown beak and dark colored hair and a brown tail, and not very attractive. Because bald eagles don't get these beautiful colors till they're at least 4 years old. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for them to mature. Same thing as the red-tailed hawk. Once those colors are there, once that red tail is there, once this white tail and white head are there, that's when they reach maturity. That's when they're able to have babies of their own. So it took her a while to have that happen to her. We kept her in a cage. She has an outdoor area. We had been doing programs with her, and her original name was George. We named her George because we figured that George Patton was a good American figure. We wanted a hero. We wanted somebody who was strong. And so we thought, George Patton works good. So then we had a gentleman that worked with this bird. His name was Frederick Renshaw Wallace, and he was a retired gentleman. He had been a master falconer for many years. He'd been a falconer for over 40 years. And when we got this bird, he offered his services. He said, look, I'm retired. I can spend as much time as you want me to with this bird. And he would come and sit with it, and he would sit and read. He would take naps in her cage. He would get her. He's the one that got her used to doing this, and he would take her for rides in his minivan and just get her used to traveling in the car and things like that. program with our golden eagle and passed away on the spot with our golden eagle on his arm. He had our golden trained so well that when he went to the floor, she rode his glove and never stepped off. So we lost Mr. Wallace, and we were heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And while he loved our golden, he and this eagle were just absolute best friends. So in his honor, we renamed this bird from George to Renshaw. And then about 4 years later, Renshaw, the boy, laid an egg. Surprise, Mom and Dad! So everything that we, even educators, we think we know everything based on size, based on, okay, never laid an egg in 8 years. It had to be a boy. No. So now she lays an egg every year, or at least 2. The way that happened, that's a story in itself. Our neighbor takes a walk on our property every morning before she goes to work, and we had just had an ice storm in January. And she came up, she was all out of breath. She said, something's very, very wrong with your eagle. I think she's frozen to the ground. So we went tearing down. There she was, belly down, screaming her head off. Pretty much had to break, I know you had some time about him. Pretty much had to break in the back door. And when I did, she leapt to her feet and attacked me. Never did it before, ever. Both talons, one on each leg. I just kind of pushed her down. And that's when I saw the egg. She was laying on the egg, screaming her head off, as if to say, "You did this to me!" Been there? Yeah. So, and the reason I say that is because Susan thinks, my boss thinks that she and I have this special connection. See, eagles do pair bond for life. Well, the males do. Now, take this for what it's worth. The females will visit other males in other nests, and even bachelor birds at times, because, well, let's just face it, they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want to make sure that those eggs get fertilized. But she and I'm the only one that handles her, so she's kind of become attached to me. Now, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, or mom, child, I don't know what she really thinks. But she definitely has attached herself to me. She definitely likes men more than women, and that really there's no sexual connotation there whatsoever. It's just that she just seems to think that way. She trapped one of our female volunteers in her cage for about 45 minutes. Didn't hurt her, just wouldn't let her out. She got between her and the door, and that was all it was. So she was screaming and hollering and finally she called me on my cell phone, and I don't dare tell you the things that she said to me. In a nutshell, you better hurry up and get down here. That's what that was. So anyway, Rennie here. So she's doing fine, but here's what happened to her. Eagles, and this could have been her problem too. Maybe she wasn't a good hunter. Maybe she wasn't really meant to survive. She was probably the runt of the group. But she was eating a roadkill deer, because eagles will scavenge just like common vultures. And the report that we got is, and it was very close to us, that a car whizzed by while she was eating this roadkill deer, and she became frightened and turned to fly in the opposite direction and got hit. Again, on the left side. That's kind of what happened to her. Her injuries, okay, I know you don't like to talk about her. Her injuries start down here. On her right foot, she's missing a talon. When she came in, go ahead, cool off. When she came in, that toe was there, but it was broken. And we couldn't splint it, so we just kind of let it alone, and it eventually just sloughed off. So she won't grow that nail back in because the toe is missing. But she's also got a slight left wing injury. Now, she looks really good right now, but a lot of times when we take her out for programs, those feathers are broken off because she can't fully extend it and she can't fully retract it, so it kind of hangs down. And she steps on them and they drag, and so she breaks these beautiful primaries off a lot. She's also almost completely blind in her left eye. Her right eye, that beautiful golden eye, that's what an eagle eye really looks like. But her left eye, she doesn't see very well. So because she doesn't have full flight, that's what's going to keep her out of the wild. The eye itself would keep her out of the wild too, because if you are a seeing creature, you need 2 eyes for binocular vision. That means you need to know how far away something is so that you can pick it up. That's what enables you to reach down and know how far away that glass of water is off the table. Well, if this bird is a fishing bird, and she wants to swoop down near the surface of the lake and pick a fish off the top, she needs to know where that lake is, because unlike osprey, these birds are not very good at dunking themselves and then taking off. They've been known to drown. So if she's not close enough to the surface and gets in the water like that, that could be the end for her. So we're not willing to release her or try to do anything like that. So we're just going to hang on to her and use her for programs like that. Right now, we think she's about 13 years old. Biologists give all birds of prey a January 1st birthday, so she's got a birthday coming up. She'll be 14 pretty soon. Lifespan in captivity could be as much as 40 years. I'm okay with that, because that's job security for me. And even after I retire, I'll have something to do. I'll be able to come back. But that's her story. That's where we got her, and that's why we have her. And folks, I entertain any questions that you want to offer. She's obviously, her feet are her big grocery getter. Honey, I'll answer your question, but I need you to slide back just a little bit. I don't want you to get too close. Can you slide back a little bit? Okay, what's your question? What's your question? Has the same tongue as a snake, kinda. It looks that way, and that's good. See, you know, I love children's questions because it so reminds me to tell you stuff, and there's so many cool things to know. Birds can't perspire. You might notice if you're up close, she doesn't have a runny nose, she doesn't have a cold or allergies. She's letting off some moisture through her nares, through her nostrils, but also she's panting. Like a dog, she's cooling herself off because they can't sweat. So it's a little warm in here, she's moving around a lot, so she's getting hot. That's why you see little droplets of water coming off there. She's cooling down. Cute little experiment if you want to try it, and it really works. I won't be offended if you stick your tongue out at me, but if you can roll your tongue, and grown-ups, you can do these too. If you roll your tongue like this, and then inhale, close your mouth. Feel how cool your tongue is inside? Doesn't that feel awesome? Well, that's what happens. When you cool your tongue, you cool the blood vessels that are in there. And that cool blood circulates through your body, and it cools you off. It's like air conditioning. It's a good system. And when you flap your wings and act the fool, you warm up. And that's kind of what that does. That's why we jump around when it's cold out. You're really cranky today. I understand it was a really long car ride. I know. Yes, you're so, folks, any other questions? The pole that I'm carrying isn't to ward off wayward children, although it has worked for them. But it's as much for me as it is for her. As I said, she's about 10.5 pounds. When you go to the grocery store tomorrow, or the next week, or whenever, pick up a 10-pound bag of potatoes and hold it for a little while. And see what it's like. So this is for her, because when I rest my hand on here, I stop moving. And hopefully she would sit still. But it also enables me to rest my arm a little bit too. Sometimes she grips pretty hard. They only use the grip strength that they need, just like us. Again, picking up a glass of water, you don't use all of your strength to pick up that glass of water, just enough. But sometimes she gets a little nervous and squeezes. They can squeeze with a pressure of about 1,000 psi when they need to. Thank goodness she never had to, but that's why I wear this big heavy glove. There's 4 layers of cowhide in here that protect me from those pounds. Occasionally she gets up above, which she did today. But it's not so bad. Our golden got me pretty good one day during the program. Buried her hallux, which is her back tongue, about 3/4 of an inch into the muscle in my forearm. You just kind of go, But I was convinced I was going to bleed out, and it just kind of got to the fatty part, which was great. I was very happy, but now I know what it's like to be a fish. There you go. Yes, what can I say for you? Excellent question. That's a great question. All birds of prey, especially eagles, are governed by the government, by the state and the federal government. She is governed by Federal Fish and Wildlife, who, I wonder if they're working right now. Did he see that? So we made a phone call. We said, hey, look, we have this eagle, and it laid an egg. And the person on the phone simply said 2 words, destroy it. And that's the rule. Because, you see, all the parts of this bird are protected. Whether this bird's alive, dead, whether they're on the ground, whether they're in the air, whatever it is. So that was the rule. Because there's a black market for things like that. And they want to make sure that these things don't get into the wrong hands. You're not allowed to own them. We wouldn't be allowed to keep it. And I'll get into this in a little bit too. If she drops a feather on the ground right now, technically, I'm not allowed to pick it up and talk to you about it, because that means I'm using it as an educational tool, which is why I have her as an educational bird. I have to put it away and mail that feather to the federal repository in Colorado, where they are disseminated into the Native American nations. Long story short, I've made way too much of this. Sue Gallagher, who is a devout Catholic, had a real problem with destroying an egg. So, of course, I got elected. And she said, you need to do it, because you're not as religious as I am. So I thought about it, and I kind of had a problem with it too, just because I thought it was a shame. So I did something that kind of made me feel like it was a little more natural. I took her egg away. I had to cheat her out of it, because she was chasing me around. And I gave it to our vultures, and the vultures ate it. Now keep in mind, this was not a viable egg. You need 2 birds, right, to have babies. So we just took it, it was like a chicken egg, and I gave it to the vultures, and in my mind, I justified that, because, that could happen in a while. So yeah, so I felt better. So that's what we do with the eggs now. So come January, the vultures will get eagle eggs to eat. So you're really, I don't get it. I don't get it. She says, I was never here before. I don't know if I like it. Right. Don't take it personally. It's not. That was a great question. Thank you for reminding me to say that. The parts, the feathers, and unfortunately even her carcass, when she passes away, will get sent to the federal repository in Colorado. The things that you see behind me, I do have some eagle skulls and an egg up here. They're fake. They're not real. They're made of resin. They're plastic. And that's why we have them, because we're not allowed to have them real deals. And besides, it would probably break. Yes, sir?
Compared to the owl, how about the hawk in this in terms of how far they can see and hear and what makes them do what they do?
As far as hearing, the owls have it far and away over the eagles. To give you an idea of what eagle eyesight is like, you've heard the term eagle eye before. From about 1,000 feet in the air, a bald eagle has a field of view of about 4 square miles from 1,000 feet up. Just absolutely incredible. The owl doesn't compare. Their eyesight's great, but it's nothing like that. It really isn't. So they do very, very well. That's their main hunting tool, is their eyesight. They really do well. Yes, you do. Okay, folks. I hate to cut this part. Oh, we have a question. You have another question. Go ahead. You know what? I will play the sound for you, but I want to put her back. Okay, and I'm going to come out to do that. All right. So, folks, I'm going to give you guys one more photo op. Okay. Hopefully, I won't be in the picture if I hold her up nice and high. So, you guys ready for pictures? Everybody, get your cameras ready. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Show them what you got, baby. There you go. Now, guys, sometimes these birds will sit like this up on a dead tree, and it's to help cool them off. And that's where the Native Americans got the thunderbird. I had a math teacher that used to whack us in the back of the head. Look, it's a lot like that. There you go. I do. Sometimes I go home bruised. All right, I'm going to put her back, guys. Please don't go anywhere. I have a couple closing remarks, and I want to answer this young gentleman's question. I'll be right back. Good girl. What a good girl. What a good girl. Yes. have nothing to do because it's raining, so you turn the television on and an old cowboy movie. Don't you just love old black and white cowboy movies? And, you hear the music and the clip-clop of the horses and the camera pans up and you see a bald eagle cruising through the sky. And you hear this. Don't you?
No.
Isn't that what they play?
Yeah.
That's not a bald eagle. That's a red-tailed hawk, but it sounds so cool. Super Bowl Sunday a few years ago, there was a Jeep commercial on, and I heard this sound. And of course I came running back in from the kitchen, because when commercials are on, that's when you go to get food. I come running back in, and I see this bird, and it's going like this. And it was a turkey vulture. Come on. But there's a reason for that, though. There's a real reason for that, and that is that bald eagles really sound like this. One more time so y'all can hear it. Ready? That's what that sounds like. It's not very impressive. It really isn't. I mean, she has a scream, but it's a scream. It's not a cool call. So, and by the way, that turkey vulture, we don't have a turkey vulture on here. The closest thing I have is a California condor, but turkey vultures sound a lot like this. That's why you hear. Way cooler. Alright. Okay. Oh, hey, since I'm playing around, I have to play one for you too. Let's do a little Halloween scenario, okay? It's dark. You're on a hike. Maybe a night hike at Carbon County Environmental Education Center, because we have one coming up. And you don't have a flashlight, because we don't let you take flashlights on night hikes. And you hear this. That's a barn owl. Do you love it? Isn't that awesome? There you go. So we hear all these great sounds. And the first time I ever heard that, just everything stood. I knew what it was, but it was just a creepy sound. So folks, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for supporting Briar Bush and coming out and seeing me and learning some things here. I want to leave you with a little message. And this message is really, really important. I end every one of my class days like this, and I end every one of my programs like this. I need the kids to listen very carefully. And because I need the kids to listen very carefully, I need the parents to back me up on this by helping them out. There's a global problem right now when it comes to kids and the environment. And the global problem is electronic video games. I'm not opposed to them, but there's a place and a time. You see, boys and girls don't get outside anymore. Not like they used to. I grew up outside. My mom would kick me out in the morning and then beg me to come home in the evening. That's because I played outside all the time. That was real. The trees, the bugs, the dirt is real. But everything on a screen is fake. It's pretend. And you need to experience the real deal. So my homework for you, because I'm a teacher and I can give you homework, is tomorrow after school for 1 hour. And this goes for the grown-ups too. Spend 1 hour outdoors with absolutely nothing that requires batteries, put your phones away, or electricity, and experience nature. There's so much going on right now. The fall is happening. All kinds of things are migrating. Things are changing. The colors are gorgeous. Get out there and experience it, because if you don't, who's going to teach the ones that are coming up behind you? That's my message for you today. Folks, thanks very much. I do have a couple business cards. You can find us on the web. You can find us on Facebook. Just Google Carbon County Environmental Education Center. You're welcome to take a look at these things up here while I clean the carpet.